8:41. Welcome back to Your Morning Calgary. Hockey has long been considered a predominantly white sport, but a new book is putting the spotlight on the black players who have made a lasting impact on the game our country loves so much. NHL writer and author of Black Aces, Julian McKenzie, joins me now with more on his new book. Good morning, Julian.
Good morning, Gina. How are you doing?
Doing great. Happy to have you on the show here. And, you've been covering hockey for quite some time now, including here in Calgary. I'm curious when you decided you wanted to tackle a book about this topic.
This started kind of mid to late 2023. I was working on another story in the summer of that year, actually around a former Calgary Flames head coach, Bill Peters, who had gotten a job at the time in the Western Hockey League. And for those who remember the story, he ultimately was ousted from his position with the Calgary Flames because of an incident with Akeem Aliu, which involved racism at a previous stop when they were together in the American Hockey League. And even though he had gotten the job in the Western Hockey League, it seemed as if there were some steps missing in terms of an actual apology, and there were a few other factors in that. And I had written a column about the incident for The Athletic, and then I had an agent reach out to me and wondered if it would be if I would be interested in writing about race and hockey. And one day I was just trying to think of an idea, and I thought, well, it would be cool to put together a series of profiles on important black hockey players and people. And next thing I know, the next 2 years of my life have just been dedicated towards making this book a reality. So it's been a long process, but I'm seeing the end in sight.
Yeah.
We're about like 100 days away from the book being out, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, of course. And let's talk about the athletes that are profiled in this book.
Yeah, so Jerome McGinley, there are so many athletes in this book who needed to be in the book, like a Willie O'Ree, Herb Carnegie, considered one of the original Black Aces. Grant Fuhr has to be in the book as well. PK Subban, Jerome McGinley for sure has to be in it, especially for all the Calgarians watching this right now, and how much he's meant to the Calgary Flames. He was one of my favorite players growing up. Subban's also like that too. But Fred Brathwaite, Sarah Nurse, Kelsey Kolsler, Tony McKegney, Anson Carter. There's about 15 or 16 names in the book. I know we're rolling through a lot of different names, but my hope was to get as many notable names as possible while also spotlighting a few people who aren't nearly as known, particularly like a Grant Fuhr or a Jerome.
Right. And you touched upon it there. I mean, Jerome McGinley is synonymous with hockey here in Calgary, and he actually has the foreword in your book. Can you tell me, I guess, how that happened, and what was your response when he agreed to be a part of it?
Gina, I've never been more afraid in my life of approaching anybody for anything. I'm dead serious. Like, I knew for this project, Jerome McGinley, a player who I've admired, even as a guy who grew up on the East Coast, growing up in Montreal, watching him in the 2004 final, just the power forward type player that he is, the goal scoring ability, the shot, everything. Just one of the premier players of his era. Like, I remember going up to him after a practice and asking him, like, hey, like, would you be interested in being interviewed for this book I'm putting together? And the whole time I'm trying to talk to him, I'm stammering, I'm stumbling over words. I'm like, and then he said yes. And I literally, after he said yes, I'm like, really? You want to do this? Like, I just couldn't believe what was going on. But the fact that he was so generous with his time, I think I talked to him for about 2 days, just about his life and his career and everything he experienced at both Olympics. And not just with him, but so many people around the hockey world who were willing to talk about him. Gord Miller was great with his time from TSN. I got to talk to Sidney Crosby about him for a couple minutes as well. So many great people, I think, in that chapter were able to speak to Jerome McGinley's legacy as a player. I focus a lot on his first time at the Olympics, where he ended up being the first black male gold medalist at a Winter Olympics, which is pretty hard to believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was such a special interview, and the fact that we were able to get him to do the foreword, that really just ties the whole thing together for me. I can't thank Jerome enough for his participation in this project.
Well, Julian, it's such an accomplishment. Thanks so much for coming on the show today to tell us about your book, which is on pre-order now and will be released February 3rd. Black Aces, Essential Stories from Hockey's Black Trailblazers is available, again, for pre-order where books are sold.